Some journeys cannot be measured in numbers alone. In the history of basketball, certain careers have transcended statistics and championships, becoming something more, something timeless. Tonight, as you settle into rest, let us explore the lives of those who defined greatness not through noise and spectacle, but through quiet dedication, perseverance, and an unshakable commitment to excellence. These are the greatest NBA careers ever lived. Before the bright lights and roaring crowds, greatness begins in quiet places, in small gymnasiums, on cracked outdoor courts, in the hearts of young dreamers who dared to imagine something extraordinary. William Felton Russell was born in Monroe, Louisiana, in 1934, during a time when opportunity seemed impossibly distant for a young black child in the segregated South. His family moved to Oakland, California, searching for a better life. And there, on the playgrounds of the Bay Area, a future legend began to take shape. Russell wasn't the most naturally gifted athlete. He was awkward at first, learning the game later than most. But he possessed something rare, an understanding that basketball was not about individual glory, but about the collective pursuit of victory. At the University of San Francisco, Russell and his teammates assembled something remarkable. They won 55 consecutive games. They captured 2 NCAA championships. And Russell developed a revolutionary approach to defense, treating blocked shots not as aggressive rejections, but as controlled redirections, passes to his teammates to begin fast breaks. He saw the game differently. He saw it whole.
In 1956, the Boston Celtics acquired Russell in a draft day trade, and the landscape of professional basketball shifted forever. Over 13 seasons, Russell's Celtics won 11 championships. 11! The number almost defies comprehension. But Russell's impact extended beyond the court. In 1966, he became the first black head coach in major American professional sports, breaking yet another barrier with the same quiet determination he brought to everything else. Russell never averaged 30 points per game. He never sought the spotlight, but he understood something profound, that true greatness is measured not in personal accolades, but in the success of those around you. His legacy is one of leadership, of dignity, of understanding that the highest achievement is lifting others toward their potential. And then there was Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, born Ferdinand Louis Alcindor Jr. in New York City in 1947. Tall and brilliant, he dominated basketball from his earliest days. At UCLA, playing under the legendary coach John Wooden, he led the Bruins to 3 consecutive national championships. The NCAA even banned dunking for 10 years, a rule change some believed was designed specifically to limit his dominance. So Kareem adapted. He developed the skyhook, a sweeping, arcing shot released from so high above the rim that it became virtually unblockable. Drafted by the Milwaukee Bucks in 1969, Kareem brought immediate success, leading the franchise to its first championship in 1971. But it was his move to the Los Angeles Lakers in 1975 that defined the longest, most graceful prime in NBA history. For 14 seasons in purple and gold, Kareem remained a model of consistency, intelligence, and excellence. He won 6 MVP awards, more than any player of his era. He captured 6 championships, and he accumulated points with such steady brilliance that by the time he retired in 1989, he stood atop the NBA's all-time scoring list with 38,387 points, a record that would stand for nearly 34 years. But Kareem's journey was about more than basketball. His conversion to Islam, his name change from Lou Alcindor to Kareem Abdul-Jabbar represented a claiming of identity in an era when such decisions carried significant social weight. He was an intellectual, a writer, a voice for justice. His career spanned 20 seasons, bridging the old NBA and the modern game, and he navigated that evolution with grace and purpose. In his final season, at age 38, Kareem was still effective, still valued, still demonstrating the beautiful efficiency that had defined his career. When he finally walked away, he left behind not just records, but a template for how to sustain excellence across decades. He showed that longevity and intelligence could be as valuable as explosiveness and youth. These two men, Russell and Kareem, established something essential, that the greatest careers are not built on a single brilliant season, but on years of consistent excellence, on evolving with the game, on understanding that basketball is both individual expression and collective achievement. They laid the foundation upon which all future greatness would be measured. The 1980s arrived, and with them came two players who would not only define their generation, but save the NBA itself. Irvin Johnson Jr. grew up in Lansing, Michigan, the son of a General Motors assembly line worker. By high school, his smile and spectacular passing had earned him a nickname that would become iconic: Magic. At 6 feet 9 inches tall, he possessed the size of a power forward, but the vision and ball handling of a point guard. He could see plays developing before they happened, threading passes through impossible angles, turning basketball into something that resembled art more than sport. At Michigan State, Magic led his team to the 1979 NCAA championship, defeating Larry Bird's undefeated Indiana State team in what became the most watched college basketball game in history. Their rivalry was born that night, a rivalry that would soon define professional basketball. Magic was drafted first overall by the Los Angeles Lakers in 1979, joining a franchise ready to run. The Showtime Lakers played basketball at a pace that seemed to defy physics. Fast breaks that moved like lightning, no-look passes, alley-oops, Magic orchestrating everything from the point, smiling through it all, making winning look like the most joyful thing in the world. In his rookie season, the Lakers reached the NBA Finals against the Philadelphia 76ers. In Game 6, with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar injured and unable to travel, the 20-year-old Magic started at center. He scored 42 points, grabbed 15 rebounds, dished 7 assists, and sealed the championship. It was one of the most remarkable performances in finals history, a statement that this young man was something unprecedented. Magic would win 5 championships with the Lakers. He would earn 3 MVP awards and 3 Finals MVP honors. He revolutionized the point guard position, proving that the tallest player on the court could also be its best passer, its floor general, its leader. He made everyone around him better, and he did it with infectious joy. But Magic's career took an unexpected turn in November 1991 when he announced he had contracted HIV. At a time when the disease was deeply misunderstood and stigmatized, Magic's courage in going public helped change perceptions. He retired immediately, then returned briefly for the 1992 Olympic Dream Team, then retired again. His absence from the game felt like a loss to basketball itself. Yet even in that difficult moment, Magic's legacy was secure. He had shown that greatness could be joyful, that leadership could be expressed through selflessness, that dominating the game didn't require dominating the ball. He changed how basketball was played and how it was perceived. Across the country, in French Lick, Indiana, Larry Joe Bird was carving his own path to immortality. French Lick was a small town, fewer than 2,000 people, and Bird was its most famous son. He was not the most athletic player. He was not the fastest or the highest jumper. But he possessed something that transcended physical tools, an understanding of basketball that seemed almost supernatural. Bird played one season at Indiana University before leaving, uncomfortable with the large school environment. He returned home, worked municipal jobs, and played basketball at a smaller school, Indiana State, where he would become a legend. His 1979 championship game against Magic Johnson's Michigan State team announced him to the nation. Drafted by the Boston Celtics in 1978, Bird transformed a struggling franchise into a dynasty. He won Rookie of the Year, and over the next 13 seasons, he never stopped improving. Bird won 3 consecutive MVP awards from 1984 to 1986, a feat matched by only a handful of players in history. He led the Celtics to 3 championships and earned 2 Finals MVP awards.
Bird's game was built on intelligence and precision. His shooting was legendary, his passing visionary, his rebounding relentless. He talked trash with the best of them, backing up every word with performance. He was notorious for telling defenders exactly where he would shoot from, then making the shot anyway. His competitiveness bordered on obsession. But beneath the bravado was extraordinary work ethic. Bird was always first in the gym, always refining his craft. He played through chronic back pain in his later years, pain so severe he would lie on the floor during timeouts. He retired in 1992, his body worn down by 13 years of giving everything he had. The Magic-Bird rivalry saved the NBA. When they entered the league, professional basketball was struggling with low television ratings and public perception issues. These two transcendent talents, with their contrasting styles and genuine mutual respect, captured the nation's imagination. Finals games featuring their teams drew massive audiences. They proved that basketball could be appointment television, that these athletes could become cultural icons. Magic and Bird elevated each other. Every achievement by one seemed to inspire a response from the other. They pushed each other to heights neither might have reached alone. And when their playing days ended, they remained linked, forever connected by the rivalry that became friendship, by the era they defined together. Their careers demonstrated that greatness comes in different forms. Magic's joy and selflessness, Bird's grit and precision, both equally valid, both equally transformative, both forever essential to understanding what excellence in basketball looks like. Then came Michael Jeffrey Jordan, and everything changed again.
Born in Brooklyn, but raised in Wilmington, North Carolina, Jordan seemed destined for basketball greatness. But destiny is rarely straightforward. As a sophomore at Laney High School, Jordan was cut from the varsity basketball team. Too small, the coaches said. Not ready. That rejection became fuel, the first chapter in a story defined by converting disappointment into determination. By the time Jordan reached the University of North Carolina, he had grown, improved, and developed an unshakable confidence. As a freshman in 1982, he hit the championship-winning shot against Georgetown in the NCAA title game. It was a moment of poise under ultimate pressure, a preview of what would define his career. The 1984 NBA draft was loaded with talent. The Houston Rockets selected Hakeem Olajuwon first. The Portland Trail Blazers chose Sam Bowie second. And with the third pick, the Chicago Bulls selected Michael Jordan. It would become the most consequential third pick in basketball history. Jordan's early years in Chicago were spectacular on an individual level, but frustrating competitively. He won Rookie of the Year. He scored prolifically, but the Bulls couldn't escape the first round of the playoffs. The Detroit Pistons, with their physical, intimidating style, nicknamed the Bad Boys, repeatedly eliminated Chicago, roughing up Jordan and testing his resolve. But Jordan never backed down. He worked with a trainer to add muscle and strength. He improved his defense, eventually winning Defensive Player of the Year. He developed a complete game. And in 1991, everything converged. The Bulls broke through, defeating the Pistons in the Eastern Conference Finals, then conquering Magic Johnson's Lakers for the championship. Jordan wept after winning, clutching the trophy. Years of frustration and doubt finally released. That image of Jordan crying tears of joy and relief remains one of the most human moments in sports history. That first championship was only the beginning. Jordan and the Bulls won again in 1992, then completed a three-peat in 1993. Jordan seemed unstoppable, winning 3 consecutive Finals MVP awards, ascending to a level of fame that transcended basketball. Then tragedy struck. In July 1993, Jordan's father, James Jordan, was murdered in a random act of violence. Devastated, Jordan shocked the world by retiring from basketball that October to pursue professional baseball, his father's dream for him. Jordan spent the 1994 season playing minor league baseball for the Birmingham Barons. He was earnest, hardworking, but clearly out of his element. By March 1995, he was ready to return. His announcement was brief, just 2 words: "I'm back." The rust was evident at first. Jordan struggled in the 1995 playoffs, but he used that summer to recondition, returning to form with frightening speed. The 1995 through 1996 season saw Jordan and the Bulls achieve a then-record 72 wins. They dominated the playoffs, winning the championship and beginning a second three-peat. In 1997, during the NBA Finals against the Utah Jazz, Jordan played Game 5 while suffering from severe flu-like symptoms. He could barely stand. His teammates had to help him off the court during timeouts, yet he scored 38 points and hit the game-winning shot. The flu game became legend, a testament to Jordan's refusal to surrender under any circumstance. The Bulls won again in 1997, then captured their 6th championship in 1998. Jordan's final shot as a Bull was a championship-winning jumper against the Jazz, pushing off defender Brian Russell and sinking the shot with 5.2 seconds remaining. It was poetry, the perfect ending to the perfect career. Jordan retired again, this time with 6 championships, 6 Finals MVP awards, 5 regular season MVP awards, and a cultural impact that extended far beyond basketball. He had become a global icon, his shoes and endorsements making him one of the most recognizable people on earth. He had set a standard that seemed almost insurmountable.
Jordan would return once more, playing 2 seasons with the Washington Wizards from 2001 to 2003. He was older, slower, but still effective, still demonstrating the skill that had made him legendary. It wasn't the same, but it added context to his greatness. The dedication to play, the love of competition that wouldn't let him walk away. Michael Jordan's career established the template against which all future greats would be measured. 6 championships, perfect finals record, clutch performances that defined eras, a competitive fire that seemed to burn hotter than anyone else's. He proved that talent, combined with obsessive work ethic and unshakable will, could achieve something approaching perfection. His legacy is not just in the records or the championships, but in the standard he set. Every great player who followed would be asked the same question: are you the next Michael Jordan? It was an impossible standard, but it was the one he created. Not all greatness announces itself with flash and spectacle. Sometimes it arrives quietly, builds steadily, and leaves a legacy defined by consistency rather than peaks, by humility rather than bravado. Timothy Theodore Duncan was born in the United States Virgin Islands in 1976. His first athletic love was swimming. His sister was an Olympic hopeful, and young Tim seemed destined to follow her into the pool. But in 1989, Hurricane Hugo destroyed the island's only Olympic-sized swimming pool. Forced to find a new sport, 14-year-old Duncan picked up basketball.
He was a late bloomer by basketball standards, raw but intelligent. He attended Wake Forest University, and despite being projected as a top draft pick after his junior year, stayed to complete his degree, a promise he'd made to his dying mother. When he finally declared for the 1997 draft, the San Antonio Spurs won the lottery and selected him first overall. Duncan's rookie season provided a glimpse of what was to come. He averaged 21 points and 11 rebounds, winning Rookie of the Year and leading the Spurs to the playoffs. But it was the following season, after the Spurs added a healthy David Robinson to the lineup, that Duncan's greatness fully emerged. San Antonio won the 1999 championship, and Duncan, in just his second season, earned Finals MVP honors. They called him the Big Fundamental, a nickname that perfectly captured his approach. Duncan's game was built on textbook technique, perfect footwork, soft touch around the basket, intelligent positioning, relentless rebounding. He was never the most athletic big man, but he was always the most fundamentally sound. He made the simple play, the correct play, the winning play. Over 19 seasons, all with San Antonio, Duncan won 5 championships. He earned 3 Finals MVP awards and 2 regular season MVP honors. He made 15 All-NBA teams and 15 All-Defensive teams. The Spurs made the playoffs every single season of Duncan's career, 19 consecutive appearances, a testament to sustained excellence.
What set Duncan apart was his temperament. He never sought attention. He never complained to referees or boasted in interviews. He showed up, did his job with remarkable skill, and let the results speak for themselves. When the Spurs dynasty ended and younger players took the spotlight, Duncan accepted a reduced role without ego or complaint, still contributing, still valuable. Duncan retired in 2016, and with him went an era. His career proved that greatness didn't require flash or self-promotion. It could be quiet, steady, built on fundamentals and team success. He showed a generation of players that you could be the best without needing to tell anyone. Across the Atlantic, another quiet revolutionary was changing basketball in his own way. Dirk Nowitzki was born in Würzburg, Germany, in 1978. His mother had been a professional basketball player, and his father a handball player. Dirk grew to 7 feet tall, but unlike traditional European big men, he developed a shooter's touch and a finesse game that seemed to defy his size.
The Milwaukee Bucks drafted Nowitzki 9th overall in 1998, then immediately traded him to the Dallas Mavericks in a prearranged deal. Nowitzki's early seasons were an adjustment. The NBA was more physical, faster, more demanding than European basketball. But Nowitzki adapted, improved, and eventually transformed into one of the league's most unstoppable offensive forces. His signature move, a one-legged fadeaway jumper, became iconic. At 7 feet tall, Nowitzki would rise up on one leg, fade away from the defender, and release the ball from such a high point that it was virtually unblockable. Defenders knew it was coming, but they couldn't stop it. It was basketball geometry made art. Nowitzki spent 21 seasons in Dallas, an era of loyalty almost unheard of in modern basketball. He could have chased championships elsewhere, joined super teams, sought easier paths to glory. But he stayed, committed to building something special with the Mavericks. For years, despite regular season success, playoff disappointment haunted Dallas. They couldn't break through. Critics questioned whether Nowitzki was tough enough, whether a jump-shooting 7-footer could lead a championship team. The doubts accumulated, weighing on everything they'd built. Then came 2011. The Mavericks, seeded third in the Western Conference, began an improbable playoff run. They defeated the defending champion Lakers. They swept the two-time MVP runner-up, the Portland Trail Blazers. They outlasted the young Oklahoma City Thunder. And in the finals, they faced the Miami Heat's newly formed super team of LeBron James, Dwayne Wade, and Chris Bosh. Miami was favored. Most analysts predicted an easy Heat victory. But Nowitzki, at age 32, played the series of his life. He scored clutch baskets. He hit impossible shots. He willed his team to victory. When the Mavericks won Game 6 to clinch the championship, Nowitzki sat on the bench, overcome with emotion, tears streaming down his face. It was validation, redemption, and triumphs all at once. Nowitzki continued playing until 2019, retiring at age 40 with 31,560 career points, 6th all-time at his retirement. He made 14 All-Star teams and won the 2007 regular season MVP award. But his legacy extended beyond individual accolades. Nowitzki proved that international players could not only compete in the NBA, but dominate it. He opened doors for future generations of European stars. He showed that loyalty to a franchise could be rewarded with success. And he demonstrated that the modern big man didn't have to operate exclusively in the paint, that a 7-footer could be a perimeter threat, fundamentally changing how basketball was played and coached. Duncan and Nowitzki never played together, but their careers ran parallel, both redefining what sustained excellence looked like. They were philosophers in basketball form, understanding that greatness is built through consistency, humility, and an unwavering commitment to craft. They proved that the loudest careers are not always the greatest ones.
Some players are born into basketball royalty. Others must fight for every inch of recognition. And then there was Kobe Bryant, who was born into the game but still approached it like he had everything to prove. Born in Philadelphia in 1978, Kobe was the son of former NBA player Joe "Jellybean" Bryant. His childhood was split between the United States and Italy, where his father played professionally after his NBA career ended. Young Kobe grew up immersed in basketball culture, speaking Italian, studying the game from every angle. When the family returned to Pennsylvania, Kobe attended Lower Merion High School and became one of the most decorated high school players in history. He averaged 30.8 points as a senior, led his team to the state championship, and announced he would skip college entirely to enter the NBA draft. In 1996, the Charlotte Hornets selected Kobe 13th overall, then immediately traded him to the Los Angeles Lakers in a prearranged deal. At 17 years old,
Kobe Bryant became the youngest player in NBA history to play in a game. He was raw, eager, and supremely confident. His early years were a balancing act. The Lakers already had a young superstar in Shaquille O'Neal, a dominant 7'1" center with a larger-than-life personality. Kobe was the hungry young guard, learning, growing, waiting for his moment. By his third season, that moment arrived.
The Lakers, with Kobe and Shaq at their peak, won 3 consecutive championships from 2000 to 2002. They were dominant, nearly unstoppable. Shaq won all 3 Finals MVP awards, but Kobe's importance was undeniable. He was the perimeter scorer, the closer, the player who complemented Shaq's interior dominance. But success bred tension. Kobe and Shaq's relationship deteriorated, their egos clashing, their visions for the team's future diverging. By 2004, the partnership had ended. Shaq was traded to Miami, and Kobe was left to lead the Lakers alone. The next few years were difficult. The Lakers struggled. Kobe faced serious personal and legal issues stemming from a 2003 accusation that resulted in a court case and damaged his reputation. He was no longer the beloved young star, but a controversial figure navigating the consequences of his choices. On the court, Kobe poured everything into proving he could succeed without Shaq. On January 22, 2006, against the Toronto Raptors, Kobe scored 81 points, the second highest single-game total in NBA history. It was a masterpiece of scoring, a statement performance that announced he was among the game's elite. In 2008, everything shifted. Kobe won Olympic gold with Team USA in Beijing, the beginning of a personal redemption arc. The Lakers acquired Spanish big man Pau Gasol, giving Kobe the teammate he needed. Together, they reached 3 consecutive finals, winning championships in 2009 and 2010.
Kobe earned Finals MVP in both victories. He had proven he could win without Shaq, silencing critics who had questioned whether he was truly a leader. His total reached 5 championships, cementing his place among the all-time greats. What defined Kobe was his approach, what he called Mamba Mentality. Named after the black mamba snake, known for its lethal strike and focused intensity, Kobe's mentality was about obsessive dedication to improvement. He studied opponents relentlessly. He practiced shooting for hours beyond what anyone else would. He demanded excellence from teammates. He refused to accept anything less than perfection from himself. Stories about Kobe's work ethic became legendary. He would arrive at the gym before dawn and stay long after everyone left. He studied film endlessly. He learned the game's history, studying Michael Jordan's moves, incorporating them into his own repertoire. He turned basketball into a science, art, and religion all at once. But this intensity came at a cost. Kobe's body absorbed years of punishment. He played through injuries that would sideline most players. In April 2013, during a crucial late-season game, Kobe tore his Achilles tendon. Most players would have immediately left the court. Kobe stayed in long enough to shoot his free throws, refusing to leave even as his career hung in the balance.
He returned, but he was never quite the same. His final years were marked by injuries and declining production. But Kobe refused to quietly fade away. On April 13, 2016, in his final NBA game, Kobe scored 60 points against the Utah Jazz. It was vintage Kobe. One last spectacular performance. A farewell gift to fans who had watched him for 20 seasons. Kobe retired with 5 championships, 2 Finals MVP awards, 1 regular season MVP award, and 18 All-Star selections. He scored 33,643 points,
fourth all-time at his retirement. But statistics couldn't capture his impact. He inspired a generation of players worldwide, particularly in countries like China and Italy, where his influence was profound. Tragically, on January 26, 2020, Kobe Bryant, his 13-year-old daughter Gianna, and 7 others died in a helicopter crash in Calabasas, California. The world mourned. Memorial gatherings appeared spontaneously at Lakers facilities and basketball courts worldwide. Players and fans alike struggled to comprehend the loss of someone who had seemed immortal in his intensity and impact. Kobe's legacy is complex. He was flawed, human, someone who made mistakes and worked to learn from them. But his approach to basketball, his relentless pursuit of greatness, his refusal to accept limitations, these qualities continue to inspire. The Mamba mentality lives on, not just as a phrase, but as a philosophy about dedication, craft, and the endless pursuit of excellence. In Akron, Ohio, there lived a boy who would become known as the Chosen One.
LeBron Raymond James was born on December 30th, 1984, to a 16-year-old single mother, Gloria James. Their life was unstable, moving frequently, struggling financially. Basketball became LeBron's refuge, his escape, his path forward. By the time he reached high school, he wasn't just good, he was unprecedented. At St. Vincent St. Mary High School, LeBron led his team to 3 state championships. His games were televised nationally. Sports Illustrated featured him on the cover with the headline, "The Chosen One," when he was just a junior. The hype surrounding LeBron was unlike anything basketball had ever seen. The pressure would have crushed most teenagers. LeBron seemed to absorb it and grow stronger. In 2003, the Cleveland Cavaliers won the draft lottery and selected LeBron first overall. He was 18 years old, carrying the weight of a franchise, a city, and unprecedented expectations. His first NBA game drew enormous attention. His rookie season earned him Rookie of the Year honors. At 19, he was the youngest player to score 50 points in a game. LeBron's early Cleveland years showcased his unique blend of size, speed, vision, and basketball IQ. At 6 feet 9 inches and 250 pounds, he had the body of a power forward, but played point guard, orchestrating offense, making teammates better. In 2007, at just 22 years old, LeBron carried a relatively weak Cavaliers team to the NBA Finals. They were swept by the San Antonio Spurs, but LeBron's performance against the Detroit Pistons in the Eastern Conference Finals, particularly his 48-point Game 5 performance where he scored 25 consecutive points in the final stages, announced him as a transcendent talent.
But Cleveland couldn't build a championship-caliber team around him. Year after year, LeBron elevated mediocre rosters into contenders, but never quite over the final hurdle. By 2010, frustration had built to a breaking point. On July 8, 2010, LeBron announced his decision in a controversial television special called The Decision. He revealed he was leaving Cleveland to join the Miami Heat, forming a super team with Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh. The backlash was immediate and fierce. Cleveland fans felt betrayed. LeBron was vilified as a traitor, someone who had abandoned his home for an easier path. In Miami, the Heat reached 4 consecutive finals, from 2011 to 2014.
They won championships in 2012 and 2013. LeBron won Finals MVP both years. He had proven he could win championships, but the criticism lingered. He was now the villain in his own story, talented but polarizing. Then, in July 2014, LeBron did something unexpected. He announced he was returning to Cleveland. His letter, published in Sports Illustrated, was titled, "I'm Coming Home." It spoke of unfinished business, of wanting to bring a championship to Northeast Ohio, the region that had raised him. This decision felt different, less about building a super team and more about redemption, about finishing what he'd started. The Cleveland Cavaliers made 3 consecutive finals appearances from 2015 to 2017. The first year, they lost to the Golden State Warriors despite LeBron's heroic efforts. But in 2016, the narrative reached its climax.
The Warriors had won 73 games during the regular season, breaking the Bulls' record. They had already won the championship the previous year. When Cleveland fell behind 3-1 in the finals, the series seemed finished. No team had ever recovered from that deficit in the finals. But LeBron refused to accept defeat. In Game 5, he scored 41 points. In Game 6, another 41 points. The series returned to Oakland for Game 7. In the final minutes of a tied game, LeBron made what would become known as the block, chasing down Andre Iguodala on a fast break and swatting away what seemed like a certain layup. Minutes later, Kyrie Irving hit the championship-winning three-pointer. Cleveland had won. LeBron collapsed on the court, overwhelmed with emotion. He had fulfilled his promise. He had brought a championship to Cleveland. In 2018, LeBron signed with the Los Angeles Lakers, beginning a new chapter. The Lakers struggled his first year, missing the playoffs. But in 2020, during the unusual bubble playoffs created by the COVID-19 pandemic, LeBron led the Lakers to another championship, earning his 4th Finals MVP award with his 3rd different franchise.
In February 2023, LeBron achieved what had seemed impossible. He broke Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's all-time scoring record, which had stood since 1989. With a fadeaway jumper against the Oklahoma City Thunder, LeBron scored his 38,388th point, becoming the NBA's all-time leading scorer. Kareem was there to witness it, embracing LeBron in a passing of the torch moment. LeBron's career is still ongoing as of late 2024. He has won 4 championships with 3 different franchises. He has earned 4 Finals MVP awards and 4 regular season MVP awards. He has made 20 All-Star teams. He has been selected to the All-NBA First Team 13 times. His longevity is staggering, playing at an elite level across 3 decades, from his teenage years into his late 30s. But LeBron's impact extends beyond statistics. He has been vocal on social issues, using his platform to address racism, police violence, and inequality. He opened the I Promise School in Akron, providing education and support for at-risk children. He produced content, built business empires, redefined what it meant to be an athlete in the modern era. Critics have pointed to finals losses, to team switching, to moments of perceived failure. But LeBron's career has been about constantly evolving, adapting to changing circumstances, finding new ways to succeed. He has faced perhaps the most sustained scrutiny of any athlete in history, living under a microscope from age 15 onward. That he has not just survived but thrived speaks to extraordinary mental fortitude. LeBron James's legacy is still being written. But certain truths have emerged. He is one of the greatest players in NBA history, arguably the most complete player the game has seen. His combination of size, skill, athleticism, and basketball IQ is unmatched. He has excelled at every position, in every system, with every kind of teammate. He has carried weak teams to playoff success and elevated strong teams to championships. The debates about where LeBron ranks will continue long after he retires. But that he belongs in the conversation with Jordan, Kareem, Russell, and the other all-time greats is beyond question. His career has been a marathon of excellence, proof that greatness can be sustained across generations. As LeBron's dominance continued, a revolution was brewing in Oakland, led by an unlikely hero who would fundamentally change basketball itself. Wardale Stevens Curry II was born in Akron, Ohio in 1988, the son of former NBA player Del Curry. Despite his basketball pedigree, Stephen was overlooked by major college programs. He was considered too small, too slight, not athletic enough for major Division I basketball. He ended up at Davidson College, a small school in North Carolina.
At Davidson, Curry became a sensation, leading his team to the Elite Eight in the 2008 NCAA tournament with a series of spectacular shooting performances. But NBA scouts remained skeptical. In the 2009 draft, 7 teams passed on Curry before the Golden State Warriors selected him with the 7th pick. Curry's early years in Golden State were marked by ankle injuries so severe they threatened to end his career. He missed significant time in his second and third seasons. The Warriors, unsure whether Curry could stay healthy, offered him a modest contract extension. He accepted. It would prove to be one of the greatest bargains in NBA history. When Curry stayed healthy, something magical happened. His shooting range seemed to extend to the edge of the logo. He made shots from distances that traditional basketball wisdom considered poor attempts. He moved without the ball with such precision that defenders couldn't track him. And when he released the shot with his quick, compact form, it seemed destined to fall through the net before it even left his hands. In the 2014 to 2015 season, everything converged. Under coach Steve Kerr, the Warriors played a style of basketball built around ball movement, spacing, and three-point shooting, with Curry as the centerpiece. Golden State won 67 games and captured the championship, with Curry earning his first MVP award. The following season was historic. Curry became the first unanimous MVP in NBA history. The Warriors won 73 games, breaking the Bulls' record. Curry made 402 three-pointers in a single season, obliterating his own previous record. He hit shots from distances that seemed impossible, that defied geometry and logic. He made defenders look helpless, creating space through deception and quickness rather than size and strength.
Though the Warriors lost the 2016 finals to LeBron's Cavaliers in heartbreaking fashion, Curry had already changed basketball forever. Youth coaches worldwide began teaching children to shoot from deep range. The traditional two-point mid-range game began to disappear. Analytics confirmed what Curry demonstrated nightly, that 3 points are worth more than 2, and if you can make them at high volume, you can revolutionize offense. The Warriors would win championships in 2017 and 2018, aided by a controversial but transformative addition to their roster. Kevin Wayne Durant was born in Washington, D.C. in 1988, just months before Curry. Durant's path was different. Impoverished upbringing, mother working multiple jobs, basketball as salvation. He grew to 6 feet 11 inches, but moved with the fluidity of a guard. He could shoot from anywhere, handle the ball, create his own shot. He was, in many ways, the prototypical modern player. Durant spent 1 year at the University of Texas, winning every major National Player of the Year award before declaring for the 2007 draft. The Seattle Supersonics selected him second overall. As a rookie, Durant showed flashes of brilliance. When the franchise relocated to Oklahoma City and became the Thunder, Durant blossomed into a superstar.
By 2014, Durant won the MVP award at age 25, delivering an emotional acceptance speech where he thanked his mother, calling her the real MVP. The Thunder had built a contender around Durant, Russell Westbrook, and James Harden, though Harden was traded before the team reached its peak. In 2012, Durant led Oklahoma City to the finals, where they lost to LeBron's Miami Heat. For years, Durant was the lovable star, loyal to a small-market franchise, working to bring them a championship. But in the summer of 2016, after the Warriors blew a 3-1 lead to Cleveland, Durant made a decision that shocked the basketball world. He signed with Golden State. The backlash was immediate. Critics called it the weakest move in sports history, a superstar joining the team that had just beaten him. Durant was vilified, his legacy questioned before he'd played a single game with his new team. But on the court, the results were undeniable. The Warriors with Durant were nearly unstoppable. They won the 2017 championship, sweeping through the playoffs with ruthless efficiency. Durant won Finals MVP, averaging 35 points per game against Cleveland. The following year, they repeated, with Durant again earning Finals MVP honors.
Durant's time in Golden State was statistically brilliant, but emotionally complicated. He had won championships, proven he could dominate on the highest stage, but the criticism never fully subsided. Some fans and analysts refused to credit those championships, arguing he had taken an easy path to glory. In 2019, during Game 5 of the NBA Finals, Durant suffered a devastating Achilles tendon injury. He had returned from a calf injury perhaps too soon, desperate to help his team avoid elimination. The injury was severe, the kind that can end careers or permanently diminish performance. Durant would miss the entire following season. When Durant returned, he did so with the Brooklyn Nets, beginning yet another chapter. His performance proved the injury hadn't stolen his ability. He remained one of the league's premier scorers, still capable of breathtaking performances. Though championship success in Brooklyn eluded him, and he was eventually traded to the Phoenix Suns, Durant's legacy was secure. Durant has won 2 championships and 2 Finals MVP awards. He has earned 1 regular season MVP honor. He has won 4 scoring titles and multiple Olympic gold medals. At 7 feet tall with guard skills, he remains one of the most unique and talented players in basketball history. Curry and Durant's careers intersected in ways that changed basketball forever. Curry proved that a 6'3" guard could be the most impactful player in the world, that shooting could be valued as highly as size or athleticism. He inspired a generation of young players to develop their shooting, rather than just focusing on getting bigger and stronger.
Durant showed that versatility was the ultimate weapon, that a 7-footer who could do everything opened up offensive possibilities that traditional basketball couldn't counter. Together, briefly, they created a team so dominant that the league itself began discussing rule changes to prevent similar super teams from forming. Their legacies continue to evolve. Curry, still with Golden State, added a 4th championship in 2022 and finally earned a Finals MVP award, the one accolade that had eluded him. Durant continues pursuing championships, his skills largely intact, his determination undiminished.
Both players changed basketball in fundamental ways. The modern NBA, with its emphasis on three-point shooting, spacing, and positional versatility, exists largely because of what Curry and Durant demonstrated. Every team now seeks their own Curry, a player who can create gravity through shooting threat. Every team wants their own Durant, a player with size who can handle and shoot. They proved that revolution could come from unexpected places, that the game could evolve in ways no one predicted, that new forms of greatness were still possible, even after Jordan, after Kobe, after LeBron. Basketball was not finished evolving. It never would be. As the night deepens and these stories settle into memory, a question emerges. What makes a career truly great? Is it championships? Bill Russell won 11. Robert Horry won 7. Rings tell part of the story, but not all of it.
Is it statistics? Kareem scored the most points for decades. Will Chamberlain once averaged 50 points per game for an entire season. Numbers illuminate, but don't fully explain. Is it cultural impact? Michael Jordan became a global icon. Magic Johnson helped save the league. Influence matters, but is it the measure of basketball greatness? Perhaps the answer is that there is no single answer, that greatness takes many forms, expresses itself through different virtues, and defies simple definition. Bill Russell taught us that greatness is measured in how you elevate those around you, in sacrifice for collective success, in leadership that transcends personal glory. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar showed us that greatness can be sustained across decades, that intelligence and grace can coexist with dominance, that evolution is essential to longevity.
Magic Johnson and Larry Bird demonstrated that greatness can be joyful or gritty, that contrasting styles can be equally valid, that rivalry can elevate everyone involved to higher planes. Michael Jordan proved that greatness requires obsessive dedication, that talent alone is insufficient, that the willingness to carry enormous pressure separates the good from the transcendent. Tim Duncan and Dirk Nowitzki reminded us that greatness doesn't require self-promotion, that consistency over flashiness can be equally valuable, that loyalty and humility are their own forms of strength. Kobe Bryant embodied greatness as relentless pursuit, as refusal to accept limitations, as the transformation of work ethic into art form, as redemption through dedication. LeBron James has shown us that greatness can evolve across eras, that versatility might be the highest skill, that bearing the weight of impossible expectations from childhood is its own form of heroism. Stephen Curry taught us that greatness can come in unexpected packages, that size and athleticism aren't prerequisites for dominance, that one player can change how basketball itself is understood and played. Kevin Durant proved that greatness includes resilience, that recovering from career-threatening injury and maintaining elite performance requires extraordinary determination, that unique talent creates new definitions of possibility.
The thread connecting these careers is not a single trait, but a tapestry of qualities: dedication, perseverance, evolution, sacrifice, intelligence, courage, passion. Each player faced different obstacles, different eras, different expectations. Each found their own path through challenges that would have stopped lesser athletes. They endured injuries that would end most careers. They faced criticism that would crush most spirits. They carried pressure that would overwhelm most minds. And they continued showing up, night after night, season after season, pursuing excellence, even when the cost was enormous. These careers remind us that greatness is not a destination, but a journey. It's built in quiet gymnasiums during off-seasons when no one is watching. It's constructed through thousands of hours of practice, through studying film, through lifting weights and running drills and perfecting technique. It's forged in playoff defeats that teach more than championships ever could. The greatest careers are stories of human beings pushing against the boundaries of what seems possible. They are narratives of growth, of learning, of refusing to be defined by early limitations or later setbacks. They are examples of what dedication looks like when sustained across years and decades.
And perhaps most importantly, these careers inspired countless others. Young players watched Bill Russell and learned about leadership. They watched Magic and Bird and understood that joy and competitiveness could coexist. They watched Jordan and realized that greatness required sacrifice. They watched Duncan and Nowitzki and learned that humility was strength. They watched Kobe and absorbed the value of relentless work. They watched LeBron and saw that versatility was power. They watched Curry and understood that limitations could be transcended. Each generation of greats creates the foundation for the next. The game evolves, new forms of excellence emerge, but the core principles remain: dedication, perseverance, love of the game, respect for those who came before, responsibility to those who will come after. The NBA is a living timeline of human achievement, a museum where the exhibits still breathe and move and inspire. These careers we've explored tonight are chapters in that ongoing story, examples of what becomes possible when talent meets opportunity, meets unbreakable will. As you drift toward sleep, let these stories settle into your thoughts. Let them remind you that greatness is built quietly, over time, through choices made when no one is watching. Let them inspire you not just about basketball, but about life, about the value of dedication to craft, about the importance of perseverance through difficulty, about the nobility of pursuing excellence for its own sake. These players gave us more than championships and highlight reels. They gave us examples of human potential, of what becomes possible when someone refuses to accept limitations, when someone commits fully to becoming the best version of themselves.
The greatest NBA careers ever lived were not just about basketball. They were about character, about growth, about the journey from potential to excellence to legacy. They were about human beings pushing themselves to extraordinary heights while remaining fundamentally human. And their stories continue. New players emerge, bringing new skills, new approaches, new forms of excellence. The game evolves, the standards rise, but the core truth remains unchanged. Greatness is earned through dedication, sustained through perseverance, and remembered through the inspiration it provides to those who follow. Rest now, knowing that excellence is always within reach for those willing to pursue it with their whole heart. Dream of baskets swishing through nets, of perfect passes finding their target, of comebacks completed and championships won. Dream of the quiet dignity of Bill Russell, the graceful power of Kareem, the joyful brilliance of Magic, the gritty determination of Bird, the relentless drive of Jordan, the humble excellence of Duncan, the loyal dedication of Nowitzki, the fierce commitment of Kobe, the evolving mastery of LeBron, the revolutionary impact of Curry, the resilient skill of Durant. Dream of greatness in all its forms, and know that these stories are not just history. They are blueprints, examples, invitations to pursue your own version of excellence, whatever form that takes. The greatest NBA careers ever lived remind us what humans can achieve. And that reminder, that inspiration, that example, That never fades. It echoes forward generation after generation, inspiring the next dreamer, the next worker, the next champion. Sleep well, and let these legacies of greatness carry you gently into rest.